Hi, everyone. Welcome to Brave Conversations. I'm Cynthia, and today we've got Claudia Unger, who is going to share with us a lot about understanding ourselves and becoming peace with ourselves. She is an executive coach. She works with individuals, leaders who want to be better at being themselves. So I think today is going to have a great conversation because I think this is what we need to understand a little bit more. When we are at the pressure, economic pressure, social pressure, the pressure of change, the natural reaction perhaps is to compare ourselves with people who we think have more than what we have, or are better than us. So let's talk to Claudia a bit about her expertise about how to help people get through all that. Hi, Claudia.
Hi, Cynthia. How are you?
Very good. How are you doing?
Very good. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's a very peaceful picture behind you there, of the sunset and everything.
It is actually taken on one of the dog walks, and that is actually my dog. So one of them.
Oh, wow.
So
Um,
it looked so good that I needed to have it on print.
yeah, exactly. And that's a beautiful picture. Tell
Thank you.
me more about you and your passion about peace and finding yourself. How did that come about?
Yeah. So what really happened for me is my background is in corporate travel, and I worked there. I started as a flight attendant and then kind of worked my way up into the corporate world. And I loved it. I did a lot of public speaking. I did a lot of research, and I thought I was, at the top of my game. I was about 30, so it was all going my way. But then I realized that I wasn't having any fulfillment. My big thing was really that my research was trying to help companies that are manipulate their travelers, their employees, for business trips. So they would adjust policy that you could only stay in 3-star hotels, or that you have to go on a red-eye flight, so an overnight flight, but then immediately to the office or to that important meeting. And I'm like, there is just no rhyme or reason to this. I think you would be better off spending that tiny little bit more money and get your people out there rested so that they could be actually performing what you're sending them out there to perform, and that's kind of where it all started from. And I had some ideas for projects, and I got shot down a few too many times, and I said, look, I'm not adding value. I don't think I'm adding value to you. I need to get out. And I quit, and I started out on my own. And that was about 4 years ago.
Great, great. And why peace? Why the subject that you are an expert on? How did you find that?
Well, I've been fascinated by peace since I was a little girl, and it's kind of like a Sunday school thing that we should have peace, or in church we share the peace. And I also love different cultures. So I've looked into a lot of different religions, so Hinduism, Buddhism, Christianity, of course, but also the Celtic religions and Native Americanism. And there I found this fantastic quote that says, to have world peace, we first need to have peace within ourselves, and then we can have peace with our neighbors. And only after we have those two pieces in place, we can have world peace. And yeah, that's basically where my passion has come from, to help people create that peace within themselves so that we can then have a more peaceful world by and large.
Okay, so and I resonate with that because in my um, work with self-employed professionals marketing their own services, largely initially, before we talk about marketing and everything, which is all important, it's it's helping them understand that when you're at the center of your own business, you need to master yourself, your limiting beliefs, and your strengths, and have a make peace with the fact that you are you. There is no way for some of us it's too late to change much. you know and
Never too late, no.
it, but comparing yourself to other people is really not the way to feel confident, or it's not a productive way to build your business, let's just say.
I
uh,
agree completely with you there, yeah.
what gets in the way of peace in your experience with yourself and with your clients?
Right. So what really gets in the way is yourself. Like you mentioned, it is comparing yourself with others, usually unfavorably comparing yourself with others, and not looking at what you have achieved. And I'm really bad at celebrating my achievements. Like for me, what would be an achievement would be to make £1 million overnight. But actually, all the little things that I do where I have wonderful conversations, or just a lovely email, or all those things are things that we achieve and that we should take some pride in, because they do come from our center. And being balanced within yourself means that you don't flare up. So looking at your self-limiting beliefs, looking at kind of the dark side that you don't so much like about yourself. So my personal example is when I'm driving my car here in the country roads in the Cotswolds, there are lots of cyclists, and they generally do not tend to get out of the way or be mindful of other traffic. So I start shouting at the top of my lungs. And it's not very peaceful, no. But actually, I have learned to embrace that side of me and just let that anger out. Nobody can hear me because all the windows are rolled up anyway. But you know, that is part of me. And if I didn't have that passion in that part of my life, I wouldn't have it anywhere else.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a sort of passion. It's a sort of passion about doing the right things, perhaps, or
Exactly.
this person for other people. And if you weren't angry at that cyclist, that means you wouldn't probably be angry at other more important things as well.
Yeah, or wanting to drive that change. So we can actually find a lot of positives in our vulnerabilities, or in what we generally perceive as our imperfections. So
How do you
yeah.
balance that with the need to? So the other day I was also speaking to someone about, the whole perception used to be improve yourself, improve yourself, improve yourself, right? And then now it's almost like saying accept yourself, right? But is there a balance? Is there a balance between when do you need to improve yourself, or when do you just say this is the way I am?
I improve myself every day. Like there is exercises I do every day. They are varying exercises. So sometimes I feel like I need a meditation to release a memory that has come up for some reason, or it's just a walk, a mindfulness walk, or there are different things that I do personally to develop myself because I do want to get better. But I can't truly get better before I don't accept all of the parts inside me. And I can't work, let's say, on my anger against the cyclists if I don't first fully accept that as me and what it actually does to serve me. So I think, yes, we do need to balance it. But for me personally, the acceptance comes before I can actually move towards getting better at something.
What do you think? Why do you think that is? You can't get better until you fully accepted yourself. Why not?
Or because you're lying to yourself, essentially. You wouldn't phrase it like that, and it sounds a little bit crass when you put it like that. But actually, when we're not accepting, we are fearful most often that we are not accepted by others. And it's my belief we can't ever be accepted by others if we don't accept ourselves. It's the same in love, right? You cannot really love somebody else or be loved by somebody else if you do not have love for yourself.
Yeah. And it's about finding your own individual flow, isn't it? Like there's that so-called anger, but which also drives passion. There's sort of polarity to everything. And on one side it's anger, on the other side it's passion and the willingness to commit to something for a better world or better change.
Yeah.
Uh, I also find that it's people who don't accept themselves find it very difficult to find their own genius. And I'm not saying
Yes.
in an intellectual way, but more like, when you're self-employed and let's say you're a graphic designer or you're a coach or something, you have your own style. I don't believe self-employed people have any competition with each other. You have your own style. And the more you think about comparing yourself to other people, the less time and focus you have about understanding yourself and letting the best of yourself out. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what are some of the things that you recommend people to do?
So one of my favorite exercises there is to go back into your childhood memories and look at what you loved doing as a child. And that could be anywhere as long as you can remember into teenagehood kind of a thing. So what are those things that made time pass where you did not have any idea that time was passing at all? And mom or dad would call you for dinner and you would say be right there, and then 10 minutes later they would call you again because you just don't have any concept of time anymore. And what are those things where you felt so absorbed in that situation? And then the second question, are you still doing that? Is that still showing up for you in some way, shape, or form? And for many people it isn't. For many people, they haven't made the connection between what they loved doing as a child, which in some way or shape or form generally comes up or should come up in your adult life, so that you are at peace and you're following your purpose.
Hmm. It's interesting, isn't it? I know you've helped people find their purpose. I do too, and you know, we all probably know the book by Simon Sinek about find your why and everything. What I
Yeah.
liked about that whole process and the process that I'm sure you use to do it, it's not about some aspirational purpose that you wish you had or you wish you are going to have. You know, it
Yeah,
was it's already within yourself, and
exactly.
it's understanding the moments in your life where you just feel so happy and fulfilled and at flow, and remembering that and finding that common thread
Yeah,
instead of saying I want to be something.
exactly. Yeah, it's finding those goosebump moments, like I'm having goosebumps now, right? So because I love one of my passions is being on stage. So that there is, you can find different ways how you express what you love doing as a child. When I was little, I would constantly rearrange my room. So once a week, probably, I would rearrange the furniture. And I'm not an interior designer today, but it's opened me up to different perspectives. And I love changing my viewpoint of the room and seeing different perspectives. And I've done that throughout my whole career. And that's been like connecting the dots in people's lives, in corporate life. I just thrive on that.
So your essence is about changing perspectives.
Yes.
Interesting, very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And that goes back to the mind shift change, right? And overcoming the limiting beliefs, because that is always a way you see something. You see that situation, mostly in your childhood, as so defined that you put a belief on that and made that so. But you can change your perspective. You can go visit your memory and say, actually, it wasn't like that. It could mean something very different.
Yeah. But you know, peace sometimes get disrupted because of external worries. COVID isn't helping peace at all. Um, Being laid off isn't going to make you peaceful, you know, or losing your business, etc. How do we stop worrying when, in fact, there's lots of things that can
You
justify?
can. You can worry about. Yes, there is so much. So for me, it's all about the fact that we have the ability to control our mind. And it sounds very simple, but it isn't really that easy if you're not practicing it much. So we tend to see something like on social media, or somebody writes us a message and we immediately go into worry mode. But we actually have the ability to look at it, um, it kind of detached from your emotions, and think, what does it actually benefit me if I start worrying about this? And the same with COVID, you can give in to the worry, and sometimes giving in to worry, or maybe more sadness or grief when we're grieving for someone, that is a very important process. But when we worry, it really does take energy from us and decreases our vibrations, which we don't really want to do, because when we think too much about worrying thoughts, if we give too much emotions into it, then we attract those things into our lives. And we just kind of prove our point that everything is on a downhill road. So if we get into the other mind shift where we think, okay, this is the situation. Can I do anything about the situation? No, but I can control my mind and I can look at the butterflies in the garden. I can enjoy the sunshine. I can do something that is actually good for me and that makes me calm at least, or even a bit happy.
And it's interesting, isn't it, when you say, can I do something about it? Initially, when you are on a worry state, perhaps you'll say no. But after you have taken time to control yourself, you might say, well, actually, yes.
Yeah,
And you
as
might
well.
be able to find one or two things that you can do. Very, very interesting. What kinds of people do you enjoy working with, and what kinds of people do you not enjoy working with? Let's just.
All right, I'll start with the ones that I don't like to work with. Those are the ones who want their purpose delivered on a silver platter by me after speaking to them for 3 hours or so. And they just think that I should have some magic crystal ball or so and tell them, you need to be a car salesperson that is perfect for you and you will find joy for your life. um, I love working with people who have who are at a stage where they are either feeling that they are not fulfilling part of their life, or who are stuck in a rut and they don't know whether to jump ship from a company perspective because they see other people progressing. I love to work with people who traditionally always said yes to opportunities because they thought if they said no, they would never get the promotion. Not really understanding that, but continuously saying yes, not putting up boundaries, they're never going to get the promotion because everybody just uses them as a stepping stool. So those people I love to help and show them their value because that's generally what they don't see.
And do you also work with people in their personal relationships, or is it just mostly a career thing?
It is really a life thing. So I don't quite like the term life coach, but it does kind of flow into it. For me, we have a life and we need to work because we need to make money, and we need to live because we need to have fun and social interaction and just enjoy life as well. If we're really lucky and when we follow our purpose, I think the two go really hand in hand, and then we just speak about life. I do also look at the relationships because often we can get pointers of what's not working in your career from what's not working in your relationships, because it's an underlying a limiting belief that you've formed somewhere that's holding you back everywhere and shows up in different forms.
Yeah, that's true. I think one of the greatest blessings that I've had in my career also is a mixture between business and psychology, because behind every business is a human being, and most human beings actualize themselves in some form of business. Yeah.
Yes.
So it's a good mix. Yeah. Well, I've really enjoyed this conversation, and I think it's timely as well, because um, peace is something we all need right now. And it's interesting that you've brought it in the context of business and putting your essence in your own business, if you can find peace within yourselves and reflecting that back into your life too.
Yeah, thank you. It's been wonderful chatting with you.
Yeah. So just any last words that you have for the audience, any things, if there's one last tip that you'd like to give all of us, what would that be?
Believe in yourself.
Mm, yeah. Yeah.
Very, very simple, very simple. Not easy, but very simple. And we can all do it. It takes practice. Affirmations work really well. And the beautiful part is when you start doing that work, the things will come up and you will understand that those are the things you need to work through to get to the other side. So just don't give up.
And you also lead the business women networking group, yeah,
Yes, in Cirencester.
in Cirencester. So if you want to connect with Claudia, just look her up on LinkedIn, or look her up on the Business Women's In organization, and you'll see and can join her networking group. Okay, so thank you so much, Claudia. It's been a pleasure having you, learning from you, and I look forward to sharing this brave conversation with a lot more people. As I said, the reason I put up Brave Conversation isn't really to always highlight the same role model figures that we see every day, but it's really to highlight, real people doing real things to make real change. And I want this audience to meet the people I meet and to get inspired with the people that inspire me. So I think this has worked out really well.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I love the mission
Yeah.
and can't wait to see more of those conversations emerge.
All right. Okay. So join us for the next Brave Conversation. Until then, see you next time. Bye-bye.